My sister announced at Thanksgiving. I'm pregnant with triplets. You're buying me a bigger house. Mom clapped. Dad agreed. I said, congratulations. She handed me the keys and said, start looking this week. I smiled and replied, actually, I've already found one. Her eyes lit up until I added for me. I'm moving tomorrow. And the house you're in, it's hey Reddit. Thanksgiving at my parents' house had always followed the same pattern. Too much food, too many opinions, too many unspoken expectations. Sitting at the table like extra guests no one acknowledged. I arrived early like I always did, carrying 2 pies I'd baked the night before. Pumpkin and pecan. My mother liked pumpkin. My father preferred pecan. I had learned long ago that being useful was the fastest way to be welcomed. My sister arrived last. She always did. The room shifted the moment she walked in, attention snapping toward her like it was automatic. She wore a loose sweater, one hand resting protectively over her stomach, a smile playing at her lips like she was holding on to a secret. I noticed it immediately, and so did everyone else. We barely made it through appetizers before she stood up. I have an announcement, she said brightly. Forks paused midair. Conversations died instantly. My mother placed her hands together. My father leaned back in his chair, already smiling. I stayed quiet. I'm pregnant. My sister continued. The room erupted. Cheers. Applause. My mother actually clapped. My father laughed out loud, standing up to hug her. I smiled. Triplets, my sister added, dragging the word out like it was the punchline to a joke she'd practiced. The room exploded again. Oh my god. 3. That's incredible. My mother pressed a hand to her chest. This is a miracle. I nodded, still smiling, even as something tightened in my stomach. Triplets. I did the math automatically. Space, money, time. My sister waited until the noise died down before adding casually, which means I'll need a bigger house. She turned toward me, directly toward me. And you're buying it. The words landed softly, too softly, like they were already agreed upon. My mother nodded immediately, as if my sister had simply stated a fact. Of course, she said. She can afford it. My father hummed in agreement. It only makes sense. I felt every eye at the table drift toward me. I didn't ask why. I already knew. I had always been the responsible one, the stable one, the one who didn't need help, didn't make noise, didn't ask for anything. I'd built a career quietly, invested carefully, lived modestly. I'd paid for vacations, covered emergencies, filled gaps no one acknowledged as gaps. Somewhere along the way, my success had stopped being mine. It had become communal. My sister smiled at me, radiant. Congratulations, I said calmly. She beamed, then reached into her purse and placed a set of keys in front of me. Start looking this week, she said. We'll need to move soon. The clink of metal against wood sounded louder than it should have. I picked up the keys slowly. No one spoke. They were waiting. I smiled. Actually, I said, my voice steady. I already found one. Her eyes lit up instantly. My mother gasped. You did? Yes, I replied. My sister leaned forward, excitement practically vibrating off her. Oh my god, where? I didn't answer right away. I just folded my hands in my lap and looked around the table. At my parents, at my sister, at the plates of food I'd helped prepare. At me, I said finally. I'm moving tomorrow. The silence was immediate, confused, sharp. My sister laughed nervously. What? And the house you're in now? I continued, still smiling. It's my mother's fork slipped from her hand. My father frowned. My sister's smile froze halfway across her face. I stopped there because the words after that weren't meant for Thanksgiving. Not yet. Not with witnesses. The rest of the meal passed in a strange fog. My sister didn't ask more questions, but I could feel her watching me, measuring, calculating. My mother kept glancing between us, lips tight. My father said very little. I ate slowly, methodically like nothing had changed. Inside, my heart was racing. After dinner, my mother cornered me in the kitchen. What did you mean by that? She whispered sharply. I meant exactly what I said. I replied, you can't just. She stopped herself, lowering her voice. This isn't the time. I nodded. You're right. That unsettled her more than if I'd argued. My sister waited until everyone was distracted before pulling me aside. You were joking, right? She asked, eyes searching my face. No, I said. Her expression hardened. You're not serious. I met her gaze. I am, she scoffed. You can't do this. I smiled softly. Watch me. That night, I went home and packed. Not in a rush. Not angrily. Carefully. Deliberately. Every item I placed in a box felt like reclaiming something I'd given away piece by piece over the years. My phone buzzed constantly. Messages from my mother, from my father, from my sister. I didn't answer. Not yet, because I knew once I did, there would be no going back. By sunrise, everything was ready. Boxes stacked, car loaded, keys placed neatly on the counter. I stood in the doorway of the house I'd outgrown emotionally long before I'd admitted it. And I smiled because what my family thought was generosity had actually been obligation. And what they assumed was certainty had actually been silence. That silence was about to break. And that was the exact moment when everything they expected from me finally stopped being guaranteed. I didn't answer my phone that night. I watched it light up again and again on the passenger seat as I drove. My sister's name flashing first, then my mother's, then my father's. Each vibration felt familiar. Not alarming, not urgent, just expected. For years, that sound had meant responsibility. Fix this. Smooth this over. Say yes quickly before things get uncomfortable. This time, I let it ring. When I reached my new place, the sky was still dark. The house sat quietly at the end of a narrow street, smaller than my old one, but brighter somehow. The porch light glowed softly, like it had been waiting for me, specifically. I carried boxes inside one by one, my arms aching, my breath uneven, not from the weight, but from the reality finally settling in. I was really doing this. I slept on a mattress on the floor that first night, wrapped in a blanket that smelled faintly of laundry detergent and cardboard. It wasn't luxurious, it wasn't dramatic, but it was peaceful. By morning, the messages had shifted from confusion to panic. My mother's voice messages were tight and fast. My sister's texts were angry, then desperate, then accusatory. My father's were quieter, fewer words, more disappointment than rage. I made coffee and sat on the floor by the window, letting them sit unanswered. For the first time, I understood something clearly. Responding immediately had trained them to expect compliance. Silence now felt like rebellion. My mother showed up just after noon. She didn't knock. She never did. She stepped inside like she still owned the right to my space. Her eyes scanning the room, as if searching for proof that I'd made a mistake. "You can't just abandon your family," she said. I gestured to the chair across from me. "Seat." She didn't. "This isn't about abandonment," I said calmly. "It's about boundaries." She scoffed. "Since when did you start talking like that?" "Since I realized no one else was protecting me," I replied. That stopped her. "You embarrassed your sister," she said after a pause. "On Thanksgiving, she announced I was buying her a house without asking me," I answered. "In front of everyone, she's pregnant." My mother said sharply, "With triplets." "And I'm a person," I said. "Not a financial plan." Her mouth opened then closed. She left shortly after, shaking her head like she didn't recognize me. And maybe she didn't. My sister came the next day. She didn't cry at first. She yelled. "You've always helped," she said. "You always said yes." "I always felt like I had to," I replied. She paced the living room, hands clenched. "You don't understand how scared I am." "I do," I said quietly. "I've been scared for years. I just didn't make it everyone else's problem." That's when the tears came. Real ones. "I thought you loved me," she whispered. "I do," I said. "But love isn't ownership." She stared at me like I'd betrayed something sacred. Maybe I had an expectation. My father arrived later that week. He didn't accuse. He didn't shout. He sat heavily on the couch and rubbed his hands together. "You've always been the strong one," he said. "And you've always mistaken that for endless," I replied. He nodded slowly. "Your sister's struggling." "So am I said. "I just don't announce it at dinner." That landed harder than anger ever could. The weeks that followed were uncomfortable. Family dinner stopped. Group chats went quiet. My sister told relatives I'd changed. My mother said I was being influenced by something or someone she couldn't name. I stayed consistent. I didn't argue. I didn't justify. I didn't rescue. And something strange happened. Life went on. My sister found a house they could afford. Smaller, further out, less perfect but real. My parents helped more because they had to. My absence forced adjustments no one had wanted to make before. And slowly resentment gave way to reality. One evening, months later, my sister showed up alone. She looked exhausted. Not glowing, not entitled, just tired. "I was wrong," she said quietly. I didn't rush to respond. "I thought you'd always be there to catch us," she continued. "I never thought about what it cost you." I nodded. "That's the problem," she swallowed. "I'm trying to unlearn that." It wasn't a full apology, but it was honest. Epilogue. 1 year later, the triplets were born healthy. I visited. I held them. I brought gifts, not houses, not checks, just love. I stayed for dinner and then I went home to my own place, my own bed, my own life. No one asked me for keys. No one handed me responsibilities without consent. They finally saw the line. Here is what I learned slowly, painfully, and finally completely. Being capable does not make you responsible for fixing other people's lives. Being generous does not mean being endlessly available. When family treats your stability like a guarantee, they stop seeing you as human and start seeing you as infrastructure. Saying no didn't break my family. It revealed what had been quietly broken for years. And choosing myself didn't make me selfish. It made me visible. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just the reliable one. I was the respected one. And this is where the story truly ends.